So for those who don't know, I have a channel that watches exclusively right-wing content. I basically put it on autoplay so that it can find me things. And it didn't occur to me until just now that having that autoplay means that I can just kind of have it throw random conservative shorts at me. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of those right now, because I think this could be fun. So first one here, it says leftist against capitalism. Okay, well, let's see what we got going on here.
When a liberal blamed capitalism for exploiting the poor, Charlie Kirk challenged her with one simple consistency test.
Wait, hold on. You said a liberal challenged capitalism. I don't think you know what those words are. Like, if you know, liberals tend to be very pro-capitalism. Like, that's the difference between a liberal and a socialist. Like, the liberal, like, kind of stops at trade unions. At, like, maybe even stops at just standard fucking individualized workplace unions. Doesn't tend to go much further than that. But, okay, let's see what's going on here. Also, I hate the ping, ping, ping. Like, did I grab your attention yet in the short?
Test.
I'm actually an anarchist.
So she's not a liberal. She's an anarchist. Like, that's probably not a liberal, but okay.
Have a lot of problems with the current system, right?
Basing an entire economic system on capital, on wealth, is not the best for each person in the world.
So you would want to live in a communal society, essentially. So why don't you go live like the Amish right now and go do it, because they live in a communal society?
That's not the point.
So then,
okay, so this is the problem with when you've got somebody who has media training versus somebody who doesn't. The response there is to point out, what Charlie Kirk did is he set a trap for her, right? By saying, so you're saying you want to live in a society, and then she accepted that false premise. When the argument is not, I would prefer to live in a society, the argument is, our society would function better if. And if you can't hold somebody to the premises of the conversation, then they will just drag you and drag you and drag you and drag you and drag you until you just go fucking crazy. It's kind of asinine.
what's wrong with the current system we live in again?
It is not based on the best outcome for each person. It's based on the wealthy getting wealth off of making the poorer poor.
Just because someone gets rich doesn't mean someone gets poor.
Yes, it does.
It kind of does. So we do have a certain amount of money that enters society. This can cause inflation. This can be printed by the Federal Reserve. But generally speaking, when the wealthy hoard wealth, there is a finite, though it is ever increasing technically, amount of money that exists in our society. As it pulls in more and more hands, that wealth disparity means that people at the bottom tend to have less and less because there's less and less to go around. Again, this is somewhat undermined by the fact that we do print money. We don't have anything backing it other than the promise of what it is worth by the federal government. But we also don't tend to print money at such a rate that people don't still end up having a disproportionate amount of income in their bracket versus what a, say, billionaire, now trillionaire has. And if we did print that fast, we'd also make inflation fuck everything. Soccer says, yeah, printing money without removing it from the system causes inflation, which just makes things more expensive. Exactly. Like, it functionally, truthfully, the way that money operates, there is a somewhat finite amount in there. So as it pulls into fewer and fewer hands, the people at the bottom tend to have less and less, or they have the same amount of money, but it buys less and less as inflation prices them out of things. Charlie is, or was, sorry, I forgot, rest in peace, bucko, but he's not correct here. But again, he's got control of the mic, so he can just kind of steer this wherever the fuck he wants.
Does.
Explain that to me. When you bought your hat, who got poor?
People who made the hat.
When you bought your hat, who got poor? Okay, so let's ignore the fact that a system that exploited labor in order to make that hat cheap enough for people to afford was part of the system of capitalism. Like, that's just ignore that part, I guess.
What, they voluntarily contributed their labor and they got paid for it?
No, they did not.
They didn't?
There's workers in other countries who are enslaved to make things that I'm wearing right now.
Then why would you buy it?
Because there's no other options in our capitalist country.
Okay, then why would you buy? Okay, so there is an argument to be made. There is an argument to be made about the responsibility of the consumer in perpetuating harmful practices. There is. But at the same time, in a world where many of our large corporations just have like a billion subsidiary corporations, and those subsidiary corporations are responsible for all the different brands of stuff that we have, it just doesn't matter where you buy from unless you're like always buying from a worker co-op, but you might not have the money to always buy from a worker co-op if you live in a system like we have right now where you only have a finite amount of dollars. And so, like, Charlie Kirk's argument here is like saying, hey, you willingly bought a Snickers from the company store in the company town, but I thought you hated the company. Why do you work for the company, and why do you spend money at the company store? When, like, that's just what you do. Like, you're kind of in that system. Like, we don't have that many options for flexibility outside of that system when you consider the finite amount of money people tend to have. Soccer says also, why do, in Kirk's case, right-wingers like to complain about rainbow capitalism? I don't fucking know.
There are no other options in our capitalist country.
That's totally and factually incorrect. Make your own clothes.
Again, this is the problem with not being media trained, because she's making a claim now. She's freaking out. She's making a claim that doesn't have any backing. And this is something that Charlie Kirk, this is an area where he thrived in when he could back you. He can pushes it to, well, why don't you just make the thing? Okay, well, then I need to get the materials, but then I'll get the materials from a place where the materials have like been involved in the same amount of slave labor as everything else. Like, where do you think they got their materials from? He doesn't push it that far in conversation here, at least not from what I can see from the short, because he doesn't have to. He's already basically won, rhetorically, once he's caused somebody to flounder. This is one of the reasons why you shouldn't get on a mic against somebody who has this kind of media training. It's like, you're bait, you're the content, like, you're being exploited. This is what happens. This is a common thing that happens with like Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk. All of them do this tactic, but that is the end of the short. So let's see what happens. What do we have next? Let's see what this one is. Libs seeing Trump fulfill their no kings requests. That's loud as fuck. Why is that so loud? That doesn't need to be that loud. Bad week to be a dictator is playing in the background. Is there? Okay, so that's a scene from Fallout. I know it's a joke. I know it's a joke, right? It is just a joke post. But the reality is Trump did not change anything in Iran right now, because that regime is likely going to just move into the hands of another dictator. We saw that happen in Afghanistan as soon as we pulled out. If that changes, cool. Oh, wait, no, this is posted by the Daily Wire. This isn't some kind of like random idiot posting. No, this is just propaganda then. This is just propaganda. The writers of the Daily Wire know that this doesn't like instill a giant regime change. And the point of the No Kings protest was that we wanted a president and his Congress to actually be beholden to the people, not just operate with impunity. But they just kind of operate with impunity. Like, that's one of the arguments against the Iran war right now, is that he didn't get any congressional approval. He just kind of fucking went for it. Jesus Christ. Okay, this one is questions. So this is the shoe being on the other foot. Questions Christians can't answer. I remember when there was a lot of Christians making questions atheists can't answer videos, and those got like debunked super well, and then suddenly like all of the momentum on internet atheism just kind of died. Like, it's not that we don't still exist, right? Like, there's still me and Apologia and Vice Rhino, and there's still like Aaron Raw and Matt Dillahunty. Like, we're all still around and still exist. Some of us aren't necessarily friends with one another anymore, but like, that group of people still exist on the internet doing stuff, but like the larger, ever-expanding movement of them just doesn't seem to have the same oomph that it used to. Maybe it's because people are more concerned with the real politics of everything now. But let's see what's going on here.
This is part 1 of questions Christians cannot answer.
I'm a Christian. Let's hear it.
First up, who created God?
That's not a hard question. It's just a nonsense question. You asked who created God, but part of the definition of God is that he is not created.
I can agree with that one. Like, there is no problem with infinite regression logically other than our ability to understand it. Like the who created God question has never really been a very, very salient question.
It's kind of like asking if grass is real, then why is it purple? Grass is not purple, and therefore that question is completely ridiculous.
It's just a category error. Okay.
Same way, God is not created. He is eternal, and therefore asking who created God is completely ridiculous. There was never a time when God was not, and therefore there was never a time where something could create metaphysics.
Is there another question in here,
there is no...
No, we don't. I don't fucking need the weird made-up Christian words. No, we don't. Okay, so we have Katie Hopkins drops truth bomb on UK free something. I've no what is the title for this? On UK free speech. Sure, why not? Let's see what's going on here.
That comeback was brutal.
Two constabularies rocked up at my house because I committed the crime online of calling myself a spaz. And I am one. I am a fully qualified card-carrying disabled person. I'm missing half my skull. Lend me your hand. How squeamish are you, Teddy? Feel my skull, do you feel?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm a proper spaz. But because of the crime of calling myself a spaz online in order to help other people feel better about themselves, I had to go to a police station and be interviewed under caution by two members of CID for 2 hours. And there is a line which I'm very much hoping to get the tape to release to all of you that says, do you not realise how offensive it is to call yourself a spaz? That is the reality of this country right now.
Okay, so I'm not familiar with UK politics at all. I'm not, in any way, shape, or form. Generally speaking, though, as somebody who is cis and has like a fuck ton of privileges, I tend to just kind of default onto if you have whatever the thing is that people use as an offensive slur against you. So like it's Soccer says it sounds like BS. Again, I don't know about that situation. I don't have any knowledge of that situation. But my general take is if you are whatever minority group or whatever person, and there's a disparaging term that is used against you very, very frequently, I think that it is A-okay for you to use that disparaging term yourself, especially if you are using it as a way to describe yourself. Like, and we have plenty of ways that we use this particular thing. Like, the N-word is one of those things. I'm never going to say it. I'm not going to say it with my friends. I'm not going to say it out in public. It's just not a word that is part of my vocabulary, really. But if a friend of mine who's black uses that word, I'm not gonna blink an eye and suddenly go like, oh my god, that's so offensive, because like that's a word that would historically be used against him. So Dorito says he isn't gonna say it again. Yeah, I did say it when I was a kid, and I 100% am willing to tell that story again if anybody needs me to, where I got tricked into saying it by kids in my mostly black neighborhood because they wanted to see me get beat up. Soccer says it sounds like she's saying spouse. No, she's saying spaz. So in the UK, spaz is considered a very offensive word. And I actually, I had a disagreement with a friend not recently, this is a few years ago, where they argued about the term being offensive, but there is a Sonic the Hedgehog artist named Spaziante. The shorthand of his name was Spaz, and so he called himself Spaz online. And when people got like really angry and offended by that, he's just like, I don't give a shit. You're not going to take my name away from me. You can't, like, of all the things you can't take away from me, you're not taking my name, of all things. So this is one of the reasons why, like, I remember Jimmy Snow said, you know, he's perfectly fine using the F slur. because it is a word that would be used to demean and disparage him specifically. So he reclaims that word. Just no, I'm just going to use it. It's my word to use. If you're going to use it against me, then I'm perfectly fine using it. And you know what? I'm not going to argue against that. I think that arguing against that is kind of silly. I got somebody angry at me in my comment section like a year ago when I did a really, really ignorant country hick accent for a bit, and they got so pissed at me and said that you're actually the problem with society. You find a person that you can disparage and you make fun of one of their traits. And I'm just like, my guy, I am from the South. I am making fun of a trait of me and my people. Shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. But again, I don't know what the actual specifics of this situation were to comment on it. Okay, so this one's Andrew Wilson and Not So Erudite. So I actually know Not So Erudite. I don't know if I'd call her a friend because we don't really talk, but we did do work together on the Jamal Bowman campaign up in New York, and like I can DM her at any point. But okay, so she's on with Andrew Wilson. I've covered Andrew Wilson, have not met him, kind of hope I never have to. Let's go ahead and see what's going on here.
I guess God was really bad when he ordered the Hebrews to kill infants.
That was just allegorical, though.
Well, you believe in it literally, too. So how do you deal with that?
Because, well, the idea here is warfare.
Okay, she actually is clowning on him a little bit there. It's always allegory when it's a bad thing that people would not like, but I also believe it all literally happened, so it's not really allegorical. Fucking hell.
The idea here is warfare.
So in warfare, it's okay to kill infants.
It can be justified, yes.
Okay.
Like if a country attacks your country and you attack them back and
you should kill their infants.
If you're bombing them, are infants going to die?
But that's not the same thing as saying it's good.
It's justified is not the same as saying it's good.
But God ordered it, and what God orders is good, right?
Yes.
In fact, so there.
Fucking Andrew's such a dipshit. Now, granted, okay. So I say he's a dipshit, but he's actually really, really smart. He knows how to play rhetorical games. He's very, very good at playing them, and noticing when he is playing them is important to being able to disassemble anything that he does. But Erudite is 100% right here. If everything God orders is good, and God orders you to kill infants, then in that sense, killing infants is good. And if you can't square that, there is no real way to square that with saying killing infants is bad, like when you're like super pro-life. Because if God mandated an abortion, then suddenly that abortion's okay.
There are times where
good,
God
right?
can say killing infants is okay.
Sure.
Okay, based. Thank you.
Did he say that with abortions?
Well, he definitely didn't make it clear with abortions in Exodus 21:22, which we still haven't gotten to.
What is your church?
He also did make it clear with abortions actually in Numbers, because in Numbers there is actually a potion that you can create that will cause an abortion. It is actually called the rotting of the thigh specifically, and for some reason it argues that it will abort the child if the woman has cheated on you, but if she hasn't cheated on you, it won't actually abort the child. Like a magic potion can just kind of tell the difference between the two of those. And yeah, the potion was made by grabbing dirt and putting it in the water around the temple. Like, it's just it's a weird thing, but like there is an abortion in the Bible, and it's to argue that it's completely against it is silly. Like, again, I also don't think that we should be using the Bible to mandate any law ever, so
history that you adhere to say about abortion?
There isn't like a tradition that I adhere to necessarily. I'm not Eastern Orthodox or Catholic, right? And I don't have to be.
Do you just adhere to your own tradition?
I use exegesis, eisegesis, and divine revelation to try to figure out what's going on. So I look at beloved scholars, I look at biblical scholarship, I look at Hebrew scholarship, right? And I try to look at all these things, including what the saints say, to try to figure out what's true.
Why do you care what the saints say?
Because I respect a lot of what the saints say.
Which saints?
I love Thomas. I'm a Thomist.
You're a Thomist?
Yeah, in a lot of ways. Not always.
So it's like a mix of Thomism, Protestantism, other isms?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. On the basis of this Protestant...
He's agitated, but like... Okay, so maybe it's just the privilege of having friends who are pagan, right? But the idea of having a religion that has been reconstructed is not outside the realm of possibility. And yeah, Sarah Chikorita says Thomas Aquinas. I know it's Aquinas because I used to listen to the podcast Pints with Aquinas back when I was trying to get as many points as I could to like debate atheism specifically, I would listen to a lot of things from Christians in order to get a good sense of what things I would have to talk about and refute if I was streaming or listening to anything or responding to anything. Pints with Aquinas was one of the things that I listened to a little bit during that time. But maybe, like I said, it's just the privilege of having friends who are pagan, but the idea of a religion being reconstructed is not foreign to me, and I don't see much of a problem with it. After all, isn't all of Protestantism a reconstructionist faith? It just doesn't happen to be one now because it's been around for long enough that people, you know, forgot. Okay, this one's Asmon, so I guess we have to cover this one as our last one here for this particular segment, because of course. Now, granted, it's Stuart, and he's not that bad, but let's see what's going on here.
They're mad that he's calling this shit out.
So wait a minute, let me get this straight. America and Israel attack Iran.
And Iran bombs Saudi
Arabia. And Iran's answer is to just attack everybody. You know, having been in a bar fight or two in my life, I'm pretty sure the worst thing you can do during a 2-on-1 beatdown is slap everyone else.
Yeah,
hey, not every party.
They spurred down.
He's getting punched. What are you?
Okay, so I understand where he's coming from. If you don't have the context of who Iran attacked, then sure. But like, Iran attacked the American consulates. Like that's what they were attacking. They were attacking places that legally operate as small patches of American soil in other countries. So, like, I'm sorry, but I'm not on the fucking side of Iran, the place that wants to kill all the gays and trans people. I think that entire regime should not exist. But to not understand why they're targeting what they're targeting is, I don't know, it's tantamount to just kind of saying, I don't give a shit about anything, I just react to them, which I guess, like, pot calls the kettle black in this exact moment, because I'm also not an expert in foreign affairs, but I do know enough about them to know that little one specifically. Sakura says also military bases that the U.S. has been allowed to use to launch attacks on Iran have also been attacked. Yeah, it's not... It looks on the surface, if you don't actually look at how and what got attacked, it looks like Iran is throwing attacks everywhere, but the reality is they are trying to hit places that are, you know, American soil, because they can't really attack American soil. Now, if they could attack American soil, that would be really, really fucky. It would almost be like they had intercontinental missiles, which is one of the justifications that Trump used to go into Iran, because apparently they're supposed to be building a giant super weapon. And like, I grew up in the Afghanistan war era, so I remember when that was one of the justifications that was used for that war. So it's not like I'm immune to... It's not like I'm immune to just kind of existing near this shit. I get to sit here and see it all happen all over again. Just 20 years ago, and now it's all the same. It's all the same shit. Okay, if you like seeing just weird-ass reactions to conservative TikToks, so the WMDs was Iraq... Oh, sorry, Bush-era shit. Bush-era shit all blends together for me. Thank you for the hydrate, Zilkir. That said, if you want to see more reactions to weird conservative short shit, let me know in the comment section below. I tried doing something like this a couple years ago, and I didn't really have a good way to like algorithmically get those shorts, but I have one now. I don't know why it didn't occur to me before to just let algorithms do their thing, but here we go. Neato! Said Afghanistan was Osama bin Laden, who was supposedly hiding there. Yeah, it just all kind of felt like the same war to most of us, I'm not gonna lie. Again, pot calling the kettle black where Asmon Gold's concerned. Anyway, as always, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed, subscribe. Insert end video tagline here. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, you know I'm not saying that last part, Sylvie Snow, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.